Hi friends, and welcome back to the Baseball Card Illustrated channel. I'm Bronko, the PSA 11, and this is the Rob Deere starting lineup World Tour. And I've got a question for you. Have you ever wondered whatever became of this guy, Rob Deere? Well, he's living on the field here in Cincinnati, GA BP. The Rob Deere starting lineup World Tour is about to take off. We are headed to the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as Bronko, his buddy Tyler, and Rob Deere take you on a tour of the Queen City that you'll never forget. The Rob Deere starting lineup World Tour bus is pulling up to pick up my buddy Tyler. Tyler is a serial overpacker, so let's see how much stuff he has brought along for this trip. Kids, don't do this at home, but we've experienced a little bit of traffic, so I figure I'd give you an update from the road here on the Rob Deere starting lineup World Tour. We are currently in Chicago. Where else? Because look at all the traffic. We're just about to hit Indiana, which is going to be the destination for night one of this venture of Cincinnati. The Rob Deere starting lineup World Tour made a quick pit stop in Cedar Lake, Indiana to check out Walgreens, Mullets, and the happening place in town, this gas station. Rob Deere is putting us up in the spacious and luxurious Red Roof Inn here in lovely Kentland, Indiana. We'll stop in and check out the scenery here. After getting his Z's, Rob Deere is refreshed, recharged, and ready to hit the road. Of all the towns that he's been in, you can definitely say that Kentland is one of them. Rob Deere's back on the tour bus. As you see the Red Roof Inn in the background, you can notice that the Red Roof Inn does not actually have a red roof. That's not our problem now, though, because it's on to Cincinnati. Rob Deere was famished after checking out of the not quite Red Roof Inn, so he stopped at the Golden Arches. By the way, the best part about a trip to Kentland, Indiana? Eventually, you get to leave Kentland, Indiana. As we listen to some tracks by Cornell Haynes Jr., known to you kids as Nelly, we're coming up on Goodland, Indiana. By the way, a fun story about Nelly. Tyler once said Nelly's only popular because everybody likes him. We stopped at a Casey's General Store to fill up the gas tank, but believe it or not, Rob Deere's bat is so powerful that it's going to get us all the way to the Queen City. Welcome to Ross-Ade Stadium, home of the Purdue Boilermakers. You're probably wondering why Rob Deere made a stop in West Lafayette. It's because he was a big fan of the big dog, Glenn Robinson, and his favorite college football player is incoming freshman Drew Bibber, who will be a tight end for the Boilermakers in the fall. The Rob Deere starting lineup World Tour tour bus has found its way to Ohio. O-H-I-O. High above the streets of downtown Cincinnati, we're in a parking structure. Keyword is parked. After a long and arduous journey, Rob Deere and the starting lineup World Tour have hit the Queen City. Rob Deere wanted to start things off by taking a tour of Paul Brown Stadium, home of the Cincinnati Bengals. He wanted to see where Carson Palmer, TJ Houshmandzadeh, and of course the incomparable Chad Ochocinco used to call home. Now it's time to go to Great American Ballpark, so Rob Cuatro Cinco is ready to play ball. On the walk from Paul Brown Stadium to Great American Ballpark, Rob Deere is taking in some of the sights, sounds, and unfortunately smells of downtown Cincinnati. The National Underground Railroad Freedom Center is right across from Great American Ballpark. Rob Deere took a second on the journey over to check it out. Just outside Great American Ballpark is the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. They have all kinds of Reds history, from Pete Rose and Johnny Bench to the first professional baseball team and the stars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Rob Deere's going to start this game day experience with a beverage outside of Great American Ballpark. So we're outside a Great American Ballpark, home of the Cincinnati Reds. They take on this guy's former team, the Milwaukee Brewers. Rob Deere has hooked us up with some primo seats, so let's head inside. The first thing Rob Deere does on any trip to Great American Ballpark is to make a stop at the Larosa's pizza stand down the left field line. On this trip, he made several different visits and got a pepperoni slice each time. This spot down the left field line is one of Rob Deere's favorite places to take in the action at Great American Ballpark because they have tables set up where you can enjoy a meal while not missing any of the game, as they have giant TV monitors, including a huge wall-length big screen TV. Incredibly, Rob Deere never won a Gold Glove during his career, but here he is standing in a statue with all the Reds Gold Glove winners, which is one of many different features of the Kids Zone and fan area at Great American Ballpark. Rob Deere was never a member of the Cincinnati organization, but that hasn't stopped him from becoming friends with Mr. Redlegs and his friend, Rosie. Getting a selfie with the big boy is one of the highlights of any trip to Great American Ballpark. Rob Deere wants to go that way, so we're going to take a look around the second level, which features an open-air concourse perfect for days like this where it's sunny, warm, and pretty much just beautiful. You can get food, drink, and all the souvenirs you want on this level, just like you can on the main concourse. This area is affectionately known as the Gap, where fans can line up and look at the action while being in the concourse. It's also a nice wind tunnel so that on a warm, hot day, you can kind of cool off without missing any of the action. Rob Deere poses in front of the skyline of downtown Cincinnati from the second level of Great American Ballpark. One of the things Cincinnati is known for is Skyline Chili. While this concession stand is closed, there are plenty of other opportunities to get one of the delicacies of Great American Ballpark. After an extensive tour of the facility, Rob Deere has finally found his seat and is ready to take in the action. As you can see from this photo that Rob Deere posed for during the action, he must have gotten the tickets from Bob Uecker, because we're sitting in the front row. He missed the tag! An under-the-radar thing Rob Deere loves about this stadium is the way the PA announcer calls the name of the team's star corner infielder.
Third baseman number 7.
It was awfully nice of the Reds to welcome Rob Deere to Great American Ballpark with a shout-out right on the scoreboard. It was Mike Moustakas bobblehead day here at Great American Ballpark. So the Rob Deere starting lineup world tour added a friend, as Moose Tacos himself is going to join the PSA 11, Tyler, and of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Rob Deere, on this tour of the Queen City. That's a wrap for day one from Great American Ballpark as the Brewers beat the Reds, but Rob Deere needed to make a stop at the team store before he left. After the game, Rob Deere, Moose, Bronko, and Tyler went looking for some fun at Rob Deere's favorite hangout in downtown Cincinnati, Tina's. Unfortunately, it looks like it's closed, and they'll have to find a new place to hang out in the future. After a delicious dinner, and maybe a beverage or two, plus a nightcap, Rob Deere and the Rob Deere Starting Lineup World Tour groupies took a stroll through the heart of downtown Cincinnati, Fountain Square. You see it here lit up for nighttime, and we'll also see it first thing in the morning. One of the trademarks of downtown Cincinnati is Fountain Square, where you have this fountain, along with a whole bunch of shops, restaurants, and even a stage for musical performances. Rob Deere has eaten very well on his world tour, and that includes a stop at Grater's, one of the many fine places in downtown Cincinnati. This is actually in Fountain Square, and he's going to start his Sunday with a sundae. We're across the street from Great American Ballpark here in downtown Cincinnati, but there's a freeway separating us from Great American Ballpark. Fortunately, Rob Deere is going to use his superpower and get us right across this lane of traffic. They say that nothing runs like a deer, but check this out. Rob Deere is literally hovering over traffic in downtown Cincinnati. He's going to stop and take a quick look at the people unfortunate enough to have to drive to where they want to go. And now he's going to go and check out the plaza area at Great American Ballpark. Pete Rose may be a controversial figure, but nobody can question his hustle and his 4,256 career hits. It's one of many statues outside of Great American Ballpark. Rob Deere overlooks the skyline of neighboring Kentucky as you look across the Ohio River from the second level of Great American Ballpark. One of Rob Deere's favorite features of Great American Ballpark is the tremendous views all around the stadium. Here you can see a shot from the right field corner of the upper deck where you see the Ohio River and a pedestrian walkway, the smokestacks that are in center field, and of course the sun deck, which is what the Reds call their right field bleachers. Rob Deer takes in the action from where else? The outfielder. Deer played left and right field during his time in the big leagues and decided what better way to relive the glory that he had on the field than by sitting behind the action in the outfield and taking in the Brewers and the Reds. The Brewers are about to wrap up Game 3 of this series to take 2 of 3 at Great American Ballpark. It's official. The Brewers score a 9-4 victory over the Reds, which means it's time for us all to pile back in the Rob Deer Starting Lineup World Tour tour bus and make our way back to the great state of Wisconsin. We are coming up on Indiana, now crossing it on our way back to the great state of Wisconsin, the place that Rob Deer made home and made famous back on Easter Sunday, 1987. We asked Rob Deer very nicely if he'd stop and let us go to the KFC in Rensselaer, Indiana, but he said no. It's been a tradition on this road trip to stop here for dinner and have the all-you-can-eat buffet, but Rob Deer's like, I gotta get back and save the world, guys. Apparently the Colonel is out, and Buffalo Wild Wings is in for the great Rob Deer. He allowed us to stop for dinner at this place just outside of Chicago. By the way, Rob Deer did spend some time in the Windy City as an assistant hitting coach for the Cubs. We have reached the Chicago Skyway toll bridge, which means Illinois has welcomed us with its arms, I guess, putting them directly in our pockets as we reach yet another toll booth. After several states, 2 games, both Brewer victories, maybe a handful of adult beverages, and a whole lot of fun, Rob Deer, Tyler, and I are back in good old Scotty. Rob Deer says goodbye to Tyler, who has been dropped off and is going home. Finally, after 600 miles round trip, the Rob Deer Starting Lineup World Tour can officially add Cincinnati, Ohio to the list of places he's been. We'd like to thank you for tagging along on this stop on the Rob Deer Starting Lineup World Tour, and we invite you to check out the other places Rob Deer has been so far, including Milwaukee, Akron, Bellingham, Northern Virginia, Pittsburgh, and Chicago before this trip to the Queen City. Rob Deer's been touring the cardmunity, and hopefully he stops at a city near you soon. On behalf of Kevin, the Diamond King, and our graphics guru Dylan, not to mention my buddy Tyler, who did a lot of work on this video, I'm Bronko, the PSA 11. So long, everybody. You've been watching the Rob Deer Starting Lineup World Tour here on the Baseball Card Illustrated channel.